Jack Elam was one of those unforgettable faces in Hollywood, the kind of actor who could walk into a scene and steal it without saying a word. Born William Scott Elam on November 13, 1918, in Miami, Arizona, he grew up during some of America's most turbulent years. The Great Depression, the struggles of the 1920s and 1930s, all of it shaped a boy who learned early on about resilience and grit. Then came the accident that changed his life forever. As a child, Elam got into a fight with another boy, and in the scuffle, he lost the sight in his left eye. What might have been a tragedy became, oddly enough, his trademark. That distinctive lazy eye, as people called it, gave him a squint that was equal parts menacing and memorable. Casting directors never forgot it. Instead of hiding the feature, Elam embraced it, turning what could have been a curse into a calling card. Before acting, he actually lived an ordinary, steady life. He studied accounting at Santa Monica Junior College and built a career as a bookkeeper and auditor. He was good at it, good enough to work with major businesses and even film studios. That brush with Hollywood planted the first seed, but it wasn't until the late 1940s, already in his 30s, that he took the plunge into acting. His rugged looks, gravelly voice, and unmistakable eye made him an instant standout. By the 1950s, Jack Elam was off and running. He became typecast, but in the best possible way, as one of Hollywood's great villains. He turned up in classics like Rawhide, 1951, and High Noon, 1952, playing henchmen, gunfighters, and outlaws who radiated danger with nothing more than a squint or a scowl. You didn't need an introduction when Jack Elam appeared on screen. You knew immediately trouble was on the way. But Elam wasn't just a one-note heavy. By the 1960s and 1970s, he showed Hollywood that he could just as easily make people laugh. With perfect comic timing and a willingness to poke fun at his own scary image, he lit up comedies like Support Your Local Sheriff, 1969, and Support Your Local Gunfighter, 1971. And who could forget his cameo in Mel Brooks's Blazing Saddles, 1974. It was proof that the same face that once terrified audiences could also leave them in stitches. Television loved him too. He popped up on Gunsmoke, Bonanza, Cheyenne, Have Gun, Will Travel, Alias Smith and Jones, and Temple Houston. In the 1980s, a new generation discovered him on the sitcom Easy Street, alongside Lonnie Anderson and Julie Harris, where he traded the outlaw scowl for a comedic twinkle. Off-camera, Elam was nothing like his villains. Friends remembered him as warm, witty, and approachable, a man full of Hollywood stories and quick with a laugh. He was a consummate professional who treated co-stars and crew alike with respect. Over a career spanning more than 200 films and television shows, he became one of the great character actors of his time. In his private life, Elam married twice. His first marriage, to Jean-Louise Hodgert in 1937, lasted 24 years until her passing from colon cancer in 1961. Just 7 months later, in August 1961, he married Margaret M. Jennison. That second marriage lasted for more than 4 decades, right up until his death on October 20, 2003, when Elam passed away at his home in Ashland, Oregon, from congestive heart failure at the age of 82. For all his warmth, though Jack Elam wasn't shy about speaking his mind. He had strong opinions about Hollywood, and he wasn't afraid to admit which stars he truly disliked. Here are the 6 actors Jack Elam reportedly hated the most, complete with his own cutting remarks. Elam saved his sharpest words for Gary Cooper, one of the most iconic leading men of Hollywood's golden age. While audiences adored Cooper's stoic, understated style, Elam called it laziness. "Gary Cooper never impressed me," he said. You'd have great character actors carrying a scene, giving everything they had, and Cooper would mutter a line in that low voice, and critics would call it brilliant. I never saw brilliance. I saw a guy who got by on looking good in a cowboy hat. He even mocked Cooper's Oscar-winning performance in High Noon, 1952, quipping, "You could have put a cigar store Indian in that role and gotten the same performance." To Elam, Cooper embodied Hollywood's obsession with image over substance. Elam had mixed feelings about John Wayne. He admired Wayne's star power, but resented his overbearing presence on set. He had this way of looking at you like you'd just committed a crime by blinking too slowly, Elam once remarked. He felt Wayne dominated scenes so forcefully that other actors had no room to breathe. To Elam, Wayne represented the Hollywood cowboy ideal, but also a rigid, authoritarian style that rubbed him the wrong way. Elam respected Marlon Brando's talent but couldn't stand his unpredictability. Brando could walk in and change a whole scene just because he felt like it that morning, he complained. For a professional like Elam, who valued structure and discipline, Brando's improvisational style felt like chaos. Working with him, he said, was like navigating a minefield where anything could go wrong at a moment's notice. The King of Cool didn't impress Elam either. He thought Steve McQueen was self-centered, especially during action scenes. "You're supposed to work as a team," Elam explained, but he'd insist on doing everything his way, like the whole set existed for his big jump or a chase scene. It got old fast. McQueen's obsession with stunts, Elam felt, overshadowed the collaborative spirit of ensemble acting. Elam acknowledged Kirk Douglas's talent, but disliked his aggressive personality and relentless ambition. "That man could bulldoze a whole crew just to get a better angle for his close-up," he quipped. To Elam, Douglas's determination often crossed into ruthlessness, creating unnecessary tension on set. Finally, Elam had little patience for Elizabeth Taylor. He admitted she could charm a room, but said working with her was another story. Try working with her. When she wasn't in the mood, "You'd swear the cameras were your enemy," he remarked. Her diva-like temperament wore him down, even if her presence on screen was undeniable. Jack Elam's grudges tell us something important about Hollywood. To him, these stars symbolized everything from ego and laziness to diva behavior and unchecked ambition. While audiences adored them, Elam saw the flaws that only surfaced behind the camera. He built his own career on professionalism, showing up early, knowing his lines, and giving his best in every role. Whether or not his name topped the marquee, fame never mattered as much to him as doing the job right. That's why he had no problem calling out even the industry's biggest icons. In the end, Jack Elam will be remembered for that unforgettable squint, his comic timing, his grit, and his honesty. He could terrify you as a gunslinger or make you laugh as a bumbling old-timer. And while he didn't mince words about the stars he couldn't stand, those unfiltered opinions only add to the fascinating legacy of one of Hollywood's greatest character actors.